I don't really have an opening for this video. It's early. I hope you guys are well. I'm sure that some of you have seen my post by now about being offline, off Instagram, off Facebook, that kind of stuff. And so I just wanted to make this video to remind you guys that it's okay to not be okay. And just kind of speak on the toxic positivity that can come up in the spiritual community and the love and light community and any community really, especially through social media. So I'm not okay. I'm really struggling with the police attack on the lieutenant, where he was in his full uniform and they still pepper sprayed him, pulled him over for no reason, pepper sprayed him, kicked him, told him that he should be afraid, threatened him and said they would only let him go if he dropped it and didn't press any charges, that type of thing. I am also struggling with the Derek Chauvin trial because they just continue to run George Floyd into the ground even though he is dead and we watched Derek murder him. I am struggling with the death of Dante Wright. He was a kid and I'm not okay. And I think that that's okay. And I just want to remind you guys, because I was sitting here and I was thinking, I need to do this card pull, I have to put this together, I need to post this affirmation in the afternoon, and then I need to post this other card in the evening, make sure that I have all my hashtags. And then I was like, just thinking about that and needing to do those things was like overwhelming. And I was like, wait a minute. No, like I don't call myself a light worker for a reason, because I'm not a love and light person, because I think that it makes it easier to slip into that toxic positivity space. And so I just want to remind you guys that it's okay to not be okay. If you're struggling with something, that's okay. And there are times that the noise of social media is going to be too much. Social media connects us to people from all around the world. You know, we're constantly connected. But like for me, it's overwhelming to see all this stuff over and over again that's only ever met with, empty, useless thoughts and prayers instead of justice or change. And to see all the stats, and it's really hard as a mother. And so when I was thinking about all the stuff that I needed to do, I was like, I need to inspire people and I need to, cheer people on for their healing. And of course I want to do that, but I can't do that right now. And so just a reminder that you can't pour from an empty cup and that social media isn't real. It's this highly curated, filtered, you see these pictures that are just highlight reels of people's lives. And so this is just a reminder that it's okay to have real feelings. It's okay to have a real human experience, to be overwhelmed, to be tired, to be depressed or anxious. That's okay. A lot of times people deem those feelings as like bad feelings. Much like in tarot, they deem like the Three of Swords or the Tower as like bad cards. But they're not. They're necessary experiences and they're completely valid. So I just want you guys to know that it's okay. And so for me, I'm just not okay. And I don't have it in me to post those affirmations and to put together those filtered and highly curated card pulls and set up the crystals and set up the light box. And I just don't have it in me today. And I hope that I can get back to it soon. I have a lot of backlog that I can put out. So like I will put out the witch hunts. I've got several of those put together. I have some deck walkthroughs to show you guys some new decks, that kind of thing. So I'll just be putting out a lot of my backlog right now as I try to navigate this period and do my best to hold space for myself and be gentle with myself. Social media just makes it really easy to slip into performative spaces. And the most talked about usually is like performative, like allyship. So like people are posting or they've got viral dancing TikToks that talk about like racism or this and that. But behind that, there's no substance. They're not really uplifting Black creators or, BIPOC individuals. They're not donating money to the places that matter. They're not holding their friends and family accountable or speaking up in situations where their privilege could be used to protect or benefit, BIPOC individuals. And I just feel like I was kind of slipping into a performative spirituality place. So like when I made that post about stepping back from social media, it's because I really value authenticity and, I'm a real person as much as I can be, I guess. I'm not the best human, but it's normal to have these feelings and to be overwhelmed, I think. And I think that we have to just normalize not being okay. So for even with all of the benefits of social media, I was just feeling very alone. I feel very alone right now, very isolated. It's hard to connect like with this experience as a Black woman, as a mother. I just feel like each of these situations that we see that are highly publicized and spoken about, but like nothing comes from them. There's no like justice or consequences for continuing to execute, Black men, women, and children in the street. And I feel like each one of these events just breaks me down like further as a human and as a mother. And I don't know, I'm afraid. And then some people are like, you're too much, you're being too much. My mom is she's white, and so we do have different experiences. I love her to death, but, she's very much like, don't talk about things, get off of social media, stop looking at these things. But whether you look at it or not, it doesn't erase the threat to my children or to myself, especially where we live in like this very rural South Dakota, Trump area. Our governor is the #1 supporter of Trump and those ideals. And so it just is hard, and I feel like it's been hard. I feel like we've just, especially like I said in my post, that I'm experiencing a tremendous strain on my interracial marriage. I feel like the pandemic has tested us. I feel like buying our house tested us. I feel like preparing for a wedding tested us. They do say that like buying a house and preparing a wedding are two of the most stressful things that you can do. I feel like parenting in a pandemic tested us. Giving birth during a pandemic tested us. Homeschooling during a pandemic tested us. Everyone being quarantined and in the house all the time tested us. And I feel like the murder of George Floyd tested us. And with these things that continue to happen, and our oldest son will be driving soon, and I've experienced these things here in South Dakota, even from the time I was younger. I used to have a really crappy white Dodge Neon, and I bought it from the factory. I drove it all through high school and college. But I got pulled over in the middle of the afternoon for my window tint, and the cop harassed me and went on and on about how it had to be too dark and needed to check it. And he was really like looking around, trying to see into the car, and asked me if I was going to a party. It was 2 p.m, and he was just being really awful to me. And I looked at him and I called him by name, and I said, "No, Officer Hines, I worked the night shift last night, just like you did. I saw you when you came into the hospital. It was a pretty busy night we had, wasn't it?" And then it was like, he just like stopped and he looked at me and he was like, "Oh yeah, you worked the front desk at the hospital. Oh, you're the hospital girl. Okay, all right, yeah. Oh, well, it looks like this window tint, it looks like it's regulation or whatever." And he let me go. But I've even experienced that here, where it was very hostile from the start, and it shouldn't have been for any reason. And I once, before I met my husband, was in a really toxic relationship, and my boyfriend struck me in the face, and I called the police. And even though my ex at the time, he had several felonies, several DUIs, an assault charge. The police officer told me that it was my fault and that he didn't appreciate me wasting his time. So I've experienced these things, and I don't think that it's too much. I don't think that I'm being too much, because I want my children to be safe. And but I know that other people that have never experienced these things, like my husband and my mother, I know that they don't understand. So I just feel very alone, and I'm not okay right now, and I don't feel like posting affirmations. And if anyone else, especially my friends of color, if you guys feel like this, I want you to know that that's okay. It doesn't matter what you're dealing with. If you're struggling with anxiety or depression or postpartum or, you know, your weight or anything, it's okay to not feel okay. And I see you and I value you. And yeah, now I'm crying. I don't remember what I was gonna say. So I just want to ask you guys, I want to ask you from the deepest part of my soul, how are you today? And I want you to think about that. I want you to ask yourself, how are you today? And I want you to ask those people around you and really listen. So often people ask you with no intention of listening, and they don't want anything more than one word, you know, in passing. But it's really important to ask yourself how you are, to ask the people that you care about around you how they are, and listen. And know that if you're not okay, that is completely valid, and that's okay. And you are still worthy, and you are still beautiful and valid, and I appreciate you. So, yeah, that's it. Oh, before I go, the other thing I wanted to say was about social media. So I was just talking about this with someone, that they were talking about like how social media makes them feel bad because of different people that don't agree with like their tarot practice or their spirituality, or that post things that are hurtful because they post racial things and that have racist undertones and that type of thing. So as much as everyone is on social media, it's like your second home. So curate that space. Like, block people if you need to. Follow others that uplift you, that connect with you. If you wouldn't want these people and that energy in your living room, then you don't need it on your social media page. And it's totally okay to curate that, to step back completely, to block someone. Protect your energy, protect your space, and overall it's okay to not be okay. Remember that social media isn't real. The only thing that's real is love, and so take care of yourself and be kind today.